Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got NFL content on the way. I'll be talking about the top 10 quarterbacks coming into this 2026 season under the most pressure. At number 10, I have Michael Penix Jr. He needs to win this quarterback competition over Tua. And I would argue he needs to do it convincingly. I need to see Michael Penix Jr. show that he is capable of being a franchise quarterback. The Falcons spent a high draft pick to acquire him some years ago. You want to see the progress eventually show why the Falcons were correct in doing so. So not only does he need to win the quarterback competition in training camp, he needs to go on to have a good to great regular season, which leads to the Atlanta Falcons reaching the postseason, which, by the way, the Falcons organization internally expects this team to be in the playoffs. That's why they moved on from Raheem Morris this offseason. The Falcons have a ton of talent across the board. The quarterback position is the biggest question mark. Michael Penix Jr. must step up and erase all the doubts. That would give Falcon fans a ton of hope. On top of the fact, I believe that would make the Falcons a dark horse in the NFC. At number 9, I have Jared Goff on the list. I have him here for two reasons. First, being that he's amongst the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks. I think Jared Goff must raise his level of play, specifically during the postseason. Going back to their last two postseason appearances, the first time when they reached the NFC title game, they fell short there. In their recent appearance when they matched up against the Commanders, Jared Goff wasn't great. Jared Goff has to rise up to the occasion. If he doesn't, I don't believe the Detroit Lions will capitalize on this window, which goes into my second reason for why he's on this list, and that's being the title window for the Detroit Lions. Their title window is slowly closing. They have all this talent, especially on the offensive end, and when you're paid that much and there's expectations for the team being a contender, that means Jared Goff has to step up and be better. At number 8, I'm putting Kyler Murray here. Minnesota feels like the last opportunity for Kyler Murray. I know he's a former first overall pick, so more than likely he'll have opportunities down the line, but here feels like his last opportunity to be considered a strong, viable option as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Murray has tremendous talent, there's no doubts about that. He just never paid off in Arizona. And Kevin O'Connell is considered a quarterback whisperer. We've seen that be the case with Kirk Cousins and most recently in Sam Darnold. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to make the most out of the skill set of Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray can get this team past 500 on top of the offense struggling week to week, similar to last year when they had a rookie as the starting quarterback, we're going to look at Kyler Murray different and considering whether or not his starting days are over. At number 7, I got Deshaun Watson. No matter what happens this season, I believe Cleveland will move on because they have the assets to draft a starting quarterback in the upcoming draft. So the pressure on Deshaun Watson this season is going to be whether or not he has enough good tape to prove that he's still a starting caliber quarterback. At 6, I'm putting Jalen Hurts here, and let me start by saying this. Jalen Hurts is the most over-critiqued quarterback currently in the NFL. I want to see Hurts prove the doubters wrong this season. He still has plenty of weapons post AJ Brown trade. It all comes down to whether or not the offensive coordinator role is resolved. That's been the biggest reason for why Jalen Hurts has been so inconsistent. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts has had a new OC every year of his career. I don't think that's fair to him when folks are criticizing his game, saying that he's not a top 10 quarterback in the league, because I've seen at his best, he is that guy. This season, I want to see Jalen Hurts silence the doubters and prove that he's a top quarterback. And if he can do that, that will go a long way in raising his stock in the NFL. At 5, I have CJ Stroud. CJ is here because we all expect him to be better than what he is right now. As a rookie, he was sensational. Afterwards, he's been underwhelming. He has top quarterback talent, but the production hasn't been there. And in the NFL, it's about what have you done for me lately. And looking at his most recent postseason performance, he almost threw away the game against Pittsburgh, and he had an awful game against New England, a game in which the Texans defense played phenomenal and gave the Texans a legit chance at winning. This is a make or break season for CJ Stroud because that contract extension is looming over his head. Obviously, if he's good and he shows that he is a franchise quarterback, he's going to get the bag. But if he has another underwhelming season on top of a quick postseason exit for the Texans, we're going to start having questions about whether or not CJ Stroud is a franchise caliber quarterback. And if you're the Texans organization, you have to start wondering if you need to invest in that position moving forward. At number 4, I'm placing Justin Herbert on my list. Jay Herbo is my guy, but he has to prove who we think he can be. He has top 5 quarterback talent, but his postseason success says otherwise. So the pressure on Justin Herbert lies on him winning in the postseason. If he does that, that changes the narrative. If he fails to do that, the narrative around Justin Herbert will become the truth about Justin Herbert. At number 3, I have Joe Burrow here. I like Joe Shiesty, but he needs to stay healthy. This team has weapons on the perimeter to make some noise offensively, and defensively, they are more competent than they were last year. And because of that, it's time for Joe Burrow to fulfill expectations. The Cincinnati Bengals are too talented to continuously have these slow starts, and they're too good to miss the postseason for another year in a row. There's tremendous pressure on Joe Burrow to secure a playoff berth for the Bengals, because if he doesn't, I think we have to start having conversations about whether or not the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl window is closed, and if that means it's time for both sides to move on. At number 2, I got Action Jackson, Lamar Jackson. This simply comes down to the MVP expectations I have on Lamar. I know what to expect from Lamar in the regular season. When it comes to the playoffs, can I see Lamar Jackson reach his MVP version of himself? Because if he does that, the Baltimore Ravens not only reach the Super Bowl, but they have a legit chance at winning it all. And to wrap up the list, at number 1, to some folks' surprise, I have Josh Allen placed here. Similar to Lamar Jackson, there are MVP expectations on Josh Allen. Now, before you guys criticize me in the comments, the difference between Lamar and Josh is that Allen has had the strong playoff moments and performances. The unfortunate part for him has been the fact that Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are his kryptonite. But another difference between Josh and Lamar is the fact that we come up with all these excuses for Josh Allen. The overtime rule, sure, before they made the change, it was unfair that you could lose a postseason game because you lost the coin flip in overtime. Then you have the Stephon Diggs drop. I'll give him that because that changed the outcome of the game. And then as of recently, the ref screw job, which I disagree with. We as media and fans have always found a way to forgive Josh Allen for his failures in the playoffs. But let's go back to the past postseason performance from Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They should have been in the Super Bowl. I don't give a damn how good the Broncos and the Patriots were last year. The Buffalo Bills in the playoffs where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were knocked out before like week 15 or something like that, they should have been in the damn Super Bowl with an actual chance at winning the whole damn thing. Josh Allen underperformed in that game against Denver. He had uncharacteristic turnovers, yet I don't really hear much backlash about it. But nonetheless, we find ourselves here. New head coach, new wide receiver 1 and DJ Moore, and the roster, although I would argue isn't the strongest, is still good enough to reach the Super Bowl because Josh Allen is that damn good. Coming into this season, it's not expected for Mahomes and KC to be in the upper echelons of contenders. So that means, just like with Lamar Jackson, there's pressure on Josh Allen to get the job done. And the pressure on Josh Allen lies in the fact that you can't miss another opportunity because you only have so many bites at the apple before that opportunity no longer exists. So can Josh Allen finally slay and conquer his demons? If not, I need to see that same energy y'all have for Lamar Jackson with Josh Allen. Let me know down in the comments what adjustments you will make to this list. Which quarterbacks do you believe should have been included onto this list, along with which ones you think should be placed higher up. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one.